Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Insider Secrets. It's Tuesday, and I'm Mike, your host, and I am joined today by our guest, Prashant Kumar. Prashant, please tell our listeners what they can expect to hear today.
Hey guys, this is Prashant Kumar. The important thing today is how the market is, the real estate market is. What I say is if you are in early stages of your life, start exploring real estate because through real estate passive investing, you can create generational wealth. Trust me, I'm not making it up. A lot of people have done it, and most of the wealth generated in this world is through real estate. So listen to Mike's podcast, go to my website also, myrealtygains.com, and educate yourself.
Here's what I can tell you today that you're going to want to listen into this interview because he didn't even begin to scratch the surface of what we uncovered. So join us inside.
Welcome to this week's edition of Insider Secrets, the show that turns multifamily investing into reality. Each show, we interview guests who are seasoned professionals, actively closing and managing real estate deals. Your host, Mike Morawski, has more than 30 years of multifamily real estate investing and property management experience. Mike is the founder of My Core Intentions and has been involved in over $285 million of transactions. Focuses on helping you create short-term cash flow and long-term wealth. Here's your host, Mike.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday, and I am Mike, your host of Insider Secrets, and that's brought to you by My Core Intentions. I'm glad that you're here today. Hey, let me ask you this. What is your intentions? And where do you want to go? Have you made those decisions? Have you made those distinctions in your life? What are you trying to discover on your own? What are you trying to figure out? I often say that you can either step back or you can step in. It's a choice that we all have to make. Have you decided to step back in your own life or have you decided to move forward? Here's what I look at. I look at investing in your future. How can I help you through education, through training, through question and answer, through mentorship? How can I help you create short-term cash flow and long-term wealth? How can I help you step in more by empowering you to execute some sound principles and still live a balanced lifestyle? I think that's a really key point, is living a balanced lifestyle. So I want to help you develop some strong foundational and practical principles. And we're going to do that by one of our ways of doing that is through our interviews on the Insider Secrets here. And today, my guest, Prashant Kumar. Prashant, would you say hi?
Yes, Mike, thank you so much for inviting me. Hello, everybody.
I am glad you're here. I'm excited about this interview too, Prashant. If you folks don't know Prashant, Prashant currently owns about 1,228 multifamily units and 18 assisted living beds in 3 different facilities. He has a background in technology and management, has owned single family real estate, been involved on the GP side, which is the general partner side, as well as the LP, the limited partner side of syndication. He's a mentor and he's willing to share his knowledge and experience with us today. And I'm grateful for that. And I know that he has some very large goals moving forward. We're going to talk about those and see what his plans are. We're going to dig in and really grind in on Prashant and get as much information out of him in the next few minutes as we can. Hey, Prashant, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mike, again.
Thank you. I'm glad that you're here. Listen, one question I ask all my guests, Prashant, is in one word. Could you please describe what best describes you personally and professionally in one word?
Compassionate.
Awesome. What makes you operate in that space?
I feel that by giving back, I get more for myself. That's my real inner calling, giving back in whichever format I can, whether it is mundane, helping somebody to earn more, or whether it is helping elders to live a better lifestyle, or at a deeper level, in the spiritual sense, helping somebody to gain peace. So,
Mm.
from all the 3 angles, again, that's not to brag about myself. I do spend a lot of time voluntary helping others to gain peace for themselves. So I'm a trainer. I train people to meditate. That's the cause of my life.
So what's interesting about that is that we have that same philosophy. Early on here, I said that I want to help people live a balanced lifestyle. And I think in the real estate space, we can get out of balance very quickly and easily. So it's interesting that you're doing the same thing from a different perspective, right? Hey, Prashant, I went over your background a little bit, talked about some highlights, but what I'd really like you to tell us about your background. And I know you have a pretty extensive technology background, and some of my friends and I will sometimes kid around and say you're one of the smart guys. Tell us how you got into this crazy real estate business.
See, of course, I come from India in 1998 for a few bucks in my pocket. But of course, I was a little bit on the top of the pack, so to say. So worked my way up in corporate world here. But one thing I always realized that what if I don't spend time on this job? What will happen? So I started realize it take a couple of years to realize that, by the way. In the initial years, you don't even think of that you are trading your time for money. At some point it does come to you, because when you need some time off for yourself and you know that you are not going to be paid for that time, you feel that, am I just worth my time? So that's what kind of stuck me a little bit, and I said, let me start something on the side, start developing a cash flow which is there even when I'm not working, so to say. 5 years ago I started that, getting into real estate. I had a mentor, I bought a couple of homes. Accountability is another piece. Somebody holding me accountable. I bought like boom, 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 couple of homes, one after another in 9 months. But then I realized that's not worth my time, because I'm going to make maybe $100, $200 on a house, but it takes me 3 months to create that $200, 3 to 6 months, finding a property, putting a tenant, bank loan, and stuff like that. Just normal progression. So I said, I have to scale it. Within the same year itself, I bought a 24 unit apartment complex, and it took me 18 days to buy that. I said, man, this is good. I scaled from 3 single families to 24 unit within 18 days. Yes, I had to put my own money. So that was sort of an eye-opening thing for me in my life. I said, listen, I have to do something where I can scale bigger, faster. So that residual income is there for me when I'm not working. So that was a defining moment in my life. But then you realize that you have only certain amount of money. Nobody has unlimited amount of money. How much can you buy for yourself? And then my personal feeling, helping others, finding the opportunity where a lot of people have a lot of money, but they don't have time. People, attorneys, doctors, they have a lot of money in general, but they don't have time. But they still want to have the pride of ownership. They don't have time to own a single family and chase a tenant and stuff like that, but they still want to have the pride of ownership. And then I got into that syndication thing where I'm able to provide the pride. I mean, more than anything else, the pride of ownership, owning the real estate, which is not owned by me personally, but it is managed professionally and giving all the benefits of owning a real estate with the cash flow appreciation and all that. So to me, that was like an eye-opening thing. What can this multifamily syndication do for me as well as for the folks around me? That's why I said, man, this is something which I love. And I started investing with other syndicators passively to get a feel of how it is. And I love it. I would cut the check and I would sit back and relax and watch every month, look at the reports. And it took me a year to understand the whole thing. How does it work? And then I jumped into syndication. So that's my kind of long story short, that is my story.
Yeah, very interesting. Did you say that you bought your first deal that you bought was a 24 unit and it took you 18 months to do that?
18 days.
18 days. Okay. I was like, wow. Okay. Interesting. Good for you. And that was, you had already been on the LP side, right? You had done some passive investing and then bought that 24 unit.
No, I bought first for myself, and then I started investing passively into other syndication.
Got it. Okay. I had just had it reversed. Got it.
Mm.
You bring up an interesting word. You said scaling.
Yeah.
And you said, boy, I have to be able to scale faster than that. And so in your own focus, and you and I have had this conversation about how many units you would like to own, right?
Yeah.
And how do you get there? In your own mind, what's important to you about scaling like that?
See, the scaling is multiple advantages of scaling, right? If I have a single family home, my tenant leaves, my cash flow is zero. And I have to put my new tenant in there. Somebody comes in, he tracks the property. I have to fix the property. When I'm looking at a larger apartment complex, yes, it needs a little bit more money to buy. Yes, I can raise private money or from my friends, family members, or from other investors. I'm spreading my risk. Even in COVID times, even if five guys don't pay the rent, I'm still good. There's no problem with my apartment complexes that I have. A couple of guys don't pay, so be it. That's how the industry is. But 95 other guys are paying me. That is bringing the cash flow to the table. So that gives me number two. I'm making more money. I'm spending less because I'm not managing. The property manager is managing the property. So my mind is free. I'm not spending time to think about what is happening in the property on a daily basis. Yes, I do talk to my property manager on a weekly basis, but that half an hour call and I'm done. I don't have to think about it. For a single family, my tenant calls me, my toilet is not working in the middle of the night or the heat is gone. I would be running like a chicken without head to get it fixed for him. So many advantages. I think to me, the biggest advantage, my peaceful sleep. I can sleep because I can sleep properly with my multifamily easily than my single families because I know my property is being managed professionally by professionals.
So I know you spent time on both sides of the aisle, the passive side and now the active side. So I want to ask you about the passive side first here. So when you're going to invest your money into a syndication deal, how do you go about evaluating that? How do you evaluate or vet that sponsor? How do you vet that deal?
Yeah, because I'm in the industry for some time now, I do my own underwriting. Of course, I look at the record of the sponsor, how you know how the sponsor has been doing in past. I talk to the existing investors of that sponsor, and most of them now you have connected with everybody anyway. So just to vet the sponsors, their background, and then taking the references from other investors. But the next thing is you have to vet the deal. So when you look at the deal that this is a good deal or not, sometimes numbers are inflated. I would be more conservative in my mind, even if the deal says 17 IRR, I would say maybe it is 15. I look at the spreadsheet, the rent projections. Are they projecting the rents 2% growth even in this COVID market? If they are doing that, maybe I should reduce it to 1%, right? Are they projecting expense to go? Maybe I should keep the expenses the same. So I do my underwriting on the deal with a conservative attitude and see where my returns are. Whatever is projected is good if I get that. But in my mind, I know what should I be looking for. As long as 10, 12% on my money, that's good enough passively. What else do I need? Most of the time, you end up getting better than that. That's all it is. All it is, you do your due diligence on the sponsor. And it's not like somebody said, okay, just invest. It's not like that. You are taking your time before you invest to analyze the deal and to check the references. So I do all that basically.
Great. So you said something interesting about your own due diligence and really underwriting those numbers and being devil's advocate, I'd like to say, against what that other sponsor does. How about when you underwrite your own deal? Now, you're on the sponsorship side, right?
I use the same conservative underwriting in my deals also.
So
I'm
you're
not,
that conservative saying like 1% growth and okay,
yeah,
great.
that is one of the reasons why in 2020, of course, with COVID and all, whatever was going on, did not purchase anything. We were taking a step back and we still don't have anything in pipeline to be bought right away. We are looking at the deals. We look at the deals all the time, but where the market is just being a little conservative because see, I may choose to be aggressive. I may choose to take the risk on my money, but it's not fair for me to take risk on others' money. So it is my moral responsibility to make sure I become extremely conservative and I guard my investors' money more than I would guard my money. So I like to be a little bit more conservative in my approach, like an old school guy. And I think that's the way to go right now.
Yeah.
Would it be different in year from now? Maybe it would be, but right now, just being conservative, sit tight and see what is coming.
I think it's a really good philosophy. And I like that you say, hey, I'm an old school guy. Because I'm an OG in a lot of this these days. I've been around 30 years. When you see some of the new people come in the industry, and there's a difference between being excited but being smartly optimistic. And I think that you got to look at that very diligently. How are you going about raising capital today? What techniques or systems are you using to raise capital?
See, initially, yes, it is difficult to raise money. You go to your family and you go to your friends, okay, for initial deals. But as you start doing the deals, as you start to continue to build your brand, you are developing an ecosystem around you, right? And as you are continuing to develop this ecosystem around you, when the deal comes, people come to you, investors come to you automatically. So when I have a deal, one thing I've realized, when I ask for money, I never get money. If you ask somebody, listen, the way I approach it, I have my underwriting, I have my presentation, and I go to my investors. I say, listen, this is my deal. Do you have anybody who may be interested in this deal? Do you recommend anybody? So rather than asking them, putting them on the spot, if just for the heck, if somebody comes to me uh, with a deal, I would be a little bit suspicious. If somebody asks me, I would say, yeah, let me look at myself, but at the same time, I'm thinking about looking at the deal myself too. So it's just a philosophy, and we approach with compassion, right? We approach with compassion, understanding our investors' position also. It's not just money that they are giving; they are trusting you. So over a period of time, you continue to build that slowly, and eventually it starts. It becomes a snowball. Initial deals very difficult, but once investors get that return, then they build that trust. They are investors now. I don't have to call them. They call me, Prashant, do you have a deal? I have 50,000 to deploy or 100,000 to deploy. And God forbid, if I need to call them, if I call them, listen, a deal is coming, be ready. They say, okay, tell me the check, give me the name, I'll cut the check. Develop that kind of relationship with your investors. They become your friends, they become your family members. I spend a lot of time talking to my investors, tell them what am I doing, what is going on in my life. And in my personal life also, I'm connected with everybody at a personal level, not just, I don't even know who this guy is and he sent me the check, not like that.
That philosophy is okay for the first couple thousand units, but what's going to happen when you get outside that box? You
That is,
be
yeah.
able to keep that same philosophy?
Then I will have to change. I'll have to change, yeah, of course. I haven't reached to that level yet. I will have acquisition manager, investor relations manager. Eventually, that will be the job of an investor relation person. I am spending that time, but eventually that will be the job of my staff who would basically deal with on an occasional basis. I will also deal with my investors, connect with my investors in things like what you are doing, where you are connecting with them on a mass scale. Maybe personally meeting them is not possible anymore. Then you are meeting with 20 or 30 of them at once within that hour to answer their questions. And I think it's not going to, snowball, continue to snowball further. That's my thought.
Yeah. So one of the questions, I have a couple of questions that I asked throughout the interview that I like to ask all my listeners. And this I think is really important and comes to the context of where we are in the world today. But how do you make high stake decisions? When you look at some of our world leaders, I think that the way they make some of those decisions is not very smart, right?
Yeah.
Or not, I don't want to necessarily say very smart, but I just want to say inconsistent. They're inconsistent in it. So when you're faced with a tough choice or hard decision in business and life, how, what process do you go through trying to sort that out?
See, I'm slightly different in my approach because I've been involved into spirituality and meditation. To me, my life revolves around my my inner self, my meditation, my spiritual life and all that. And those are the biggest support for me. Yes, mentally we have the same capacity, but I do take my time to for the things to sink in. and then decide on things rather than jumping onto it right away. It doesn't mean that I spend a lot of time. I have taken decision very quickly, but I do like to sleep on them at least a night before I decide on something. But when I say sleep on night, if it's not feeling good, then I probably wouldn't do it. And to me, it is bigger than that. I sit in meditation with the thought and let it evolve, let it come automatically to me. And that's the way I would take high stake decisions. I'm not talking about small things. I'm talking about big things where I need to take bigger decisions. I always sit in meditation before I take a decision. And of course, in the process, and I'm knock on the wood, I've been lucky to be surrounded by right people, mentors, right coaches. So I always look up to those who have gone through that process rather than me deciding it myself. I always take advice from bigger people in this world than me, those who are more experienced. That always helps me.
Yeah, meditation. And I think that we all come to that place somehow, whether it's prayer, whether it's meditation, whatever medium. I think that's one of those key factors in people's lives that if we start our day with that and we get on that level that things tend to go easier, things come to us easier, not faced with some of those difficulties and challenges. And not that they don't show up, they show up. I think you have an advantage of how to deal with them at a little
Yes.
better, at a better pace, right?
That is the fundamental thing. It's not about that situation is different. It's about how you take the situation, how
Right.
you deal with that. Your ability to handle the world becomes better. So it is not affecting you as much.
I'll never forget, I was at a Tony Robbins seminar one time, and Tony said, he was talking about how people don't want to be rich. People don't want to have money. And he goes, you know what? Money's overrated. But if you have money, you can at least arrive at your problems in style. So
Yeah,
I always remembered that and thought, God, that's a classic answer. Worth working for, that's for sure.
yeah,
So
definitely.
now I know you haven't been in the real estate space for a long time, but a number of years to give you some perspective. So what
Yes.
do you know today that you wish you would have known when you first got started?
Wow. That's a marvelous question. So yesterday I was talking to somebody and I was telling her she was 25-year old. She asked me the same question. I said, listen, if you want to create generational wealth for yourself, you better start. And if you want to do it correctly, you better start real estate now. Do it slowly and start accumulating something for yourself and be consistent in it. Don't get bogged down that market is so high. And that is what I would have done if I knew it 25 years ago. Somebody had guided me. I feel that I'm late in the game because of my age and whatnot, but it's never too late. I'm embracing it. In a couple of years, I have reached to a point where it's already out, almost starting to snowball for me. If you think about if you start early and you start doing it correctly, even if you don't have money, even if you are doing it for free, even if you are making only a little bit out of real estate, that doesn't matter. The experience that you are getting out of it matters a lot because as you continue to one single family, second single family, maybe a multi-family, the next thing you would know, is going to start snowballing. And the next thing you would, the income that you are making from your W-2 job, you have already replaced that by the time you are 30.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done if somebody had told me. And I'm teaching my kids also now. My daughter read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I'm teaching my son Monopoly and things like that. At least they are getting the concept. My daughter says, I want to have the rich dad, not a poor dad. So things like that. So that's just a mentality. I'm all for educating everybody else. Of course, my son, my kids.
She definitely put a little bit of pressure on you, huh? Be the rich
Yes,
dad.
you did. Yes, you did.
I think I think it's beyond money though. And I know that you believe that too, that it's more that richness comes from, it starts with the meditation, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's about that peace and how we come to life. Money's a byproduct. It's a scorecard. It's great. So
One thing I always say that respect that also.
yeah,
Respect what you have.
yeah. So gratitude, right?
Gratitude.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's another one of those keys. I start my day every day. I think that I'm sure you do too, with 3, 5 things I write down that I'm grateful for, whether it's the new fallen snow or the birds chirping in the trees or the socks on my feet. Be grateful for what we have, right?
That is true. That is true. I'm all for it. I know you and I share a lot of similar philosophies in life. I love it.
Hey, talk to me a little bit about your resources. Do you have anything that you really lean on or really depend on technology wise or system wise?
Yeah, I have a bunch of things I have researched myself, but all of my resources now they are on internet, of course. Everything is online. I use systems like Kartra. I started with that active campaign at some point, but I didn't because of the some limitations. So I went into Kartra. I'm liking it very much. That's where I have some funnels and stuff set up. I have a marketing company. So I try to offload as much as I can to keep my time empty. I was doing it all by myself until last year, but then I hired a marketing company. They take care of all my back end systems, and I have VAs who are helping me to do things which will take probably more time for me to do myself. Normal stuff, nothing extraordinary. I like marketing. I like my podcasts, webinars where I'm talking to everybody face to face or on YouTube channel, things like that. So normal stuff. My systems are moving, so I'm good with that.
Yeah. So you talked about marketing a lot there. Tell me how you feel about how are you going about building a personal brand? What steps are you taking? What are you doing?
See, as I said earlier, is connecting with the people is what is needed. Nobody's gonna invest with me unless I'm connected with them. I would not invest with somebody if I'm not connected with them. So to do that, multiple touch points are required. How do you do that? Doing that is you have to build some level of comfort with. I'm doing exactly what you are also doing. Having your podcast, I have my webinars where I talk to new people, old connections, continue to guide them in the right direction, bringing on the right resources on my webinars so that people get connected with us. I've created a lot of educational content where people get to know what I do or what the real estate passive investing is. That way, they slowly know a little bit of. I can spend time with each one of them teaching about passive investing, but I have created the content.
Yeah.
I have all these, and all of these are free, and I just give that free. So basically, it's continuing to chugging along in this process, do something to help others, and someday help will come back to me.
Yeah. Awesome. Great philosophy, that's for sure. What advice would you give a new investor today? Somebody just coming in the market, maybe what they should watch out for or steps they could take?
Yeah, cautious, understand where the market is. Don't be greedy. It's very easy to get into this rat race. So don't be greedy, have patience. Invest when the time is right, not when you have the money. You can invest right now, and next thing you know is if you're not done your homework correctly. So invest when the time is right, not when you have the money. That's my philosophy.
You think you can time the market?
I don't think I can time the market, but I can at least. You have always seen something has gone up. There will be a correction sometime, right?
Yeah.
May not be now, maybe it is late. But if you are buying an asset, if you can buy it at discount somehow, 10% below market or whatever, and if the asset is cash flowing, maybe that would be a good deal. So it all depends on the deal. I'm not saying that I can time the market, but what I'm saying is don't buy at 3 cap. You're going to lose the money, right?
That's an interesting perspective, right? Because we know cap rates have compressed so much in the last few years. What do you see happening? Do you see them continuing to compress?
They are continuing to compress right now. And again, nobody has a crystal ball. But someday they will start deflating. They will come, maybe 6 months, maybe a year down the line, but it has to come. I don't see that.
Is it possible for us to see a negative cap rate?
I cannot say that. I do not have that ability to answer. It's beyond me. Maybe you can answer that question.
Let's talk to some of our peers who have been in the business a long time, who own thousands of units, and they're saying, man, these are still going to go down further. And
Wow.
so it's an interesting thought perspective because of how high can the price get inflated?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. How would you sustain? You have seen countries giving loans to other countries at negative interest rate. So that's the phenomenon of negative cap rate in a way for their investments.
Yeah.
But it is beyond me. I would love to know more about it, how I can utilize.
It is a crazy business, though. Hey,
Yeah.
let's shift gears here a little bit. So
Yeah.
I like to
Yeah.
ask some fun questions. Where are you
Sure.
calling from today?
What is that?
Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Long Island, New York.
Okay, so you're in New York. Favorite tourist attraction where you are?
New York is full of attractions, Central Park. I would go to Central Park and just jog around, even if it is snowing. I don't care. Yeah, that's the best place. In the middle of all these, you have some place where you can go and be with yourself.
All right, good. How about your favorite restaurant?
See, I am Indian, right? So I like Indian food, but India has 100 different kind of foods. So I'm from North India. I like South Indian food, and there are a bunch of South Indian restaurants here in New York. I love them.
Is it hot, spicy?
It can be mild also. It's up to you. They make it pretty mild. They don't make it hot. I can put more hot. My wife would put more. My kids actually eat hotter than what I can eat. I'm changed. I'm like 99% American. I cannot eat hot myself.
Okay. All right, good. Favorite book you've ever read?
All my world revolves around meditation. So there is a book called The Heartfulness Way. And Mike, I will send that book to you if you don't mind me sharing your address. I will go to the post office and I'll send that copy of that book to you.
I would love that. Thank you
Please,
very much.
I'll do that.
And speaking of books, did you have something that you wanted to share with the listeners? And I'd like you to tell the listeners if they want to get a hold of you, pick your brain a little bit more, talk with you, how they go about doing it.
Yeah, as I said, I have created a 7-day email course on internet. All it is you give your email address, you get one email a day from me, and all it is about educating you what is passive investing, what it can do for you. 7 days, 3 minutes a day, not 15 minutes, not 20 minutes. And then you have a PDF you download, you learn a little bit about it. And then there's another link I have in there, which is called Passionate Passive Investors Club. So
Okay.
once you have done that 7-day course, you are baptized to become passionate passive investor. I'm not saying that you invest, but that club gives you more information, a little bit more. It's deeper. All it is, you have resources available. You watch my videos. It's all free. Nobody's ever gonna call you or anything. It's all free stuff. And you will have the link. I'll share the links with you after this interview. So please feel free to go to my website, myrealtygains.com. There you have two links. One is for my 7 email. Second is for my Passionate Passive Investors Club. And third one is if you want to schedule a call with me, everything is right there.
Awesome. This has been a great interview. I think you are a wealth of knowledge, and the peace you bring and the compassion you bring, I think you brought to my listeners as well as to what you bring to your own investors, I'm sure pays dividends. So thanks again for being here. Any last thoughts or words?
Well, just be careful, guys, in this and take your steps carefully. That's all I can say. Thank you so much, Mike, for inviting me.
Thanks again, Prashant. Hey, thanks for being here. It's another Tuesday. And if you haven't already, please go and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Like us, love us, help our ratings, please. Go to YouTube and subscribe to the video casts. And we look forward to seeing you again and hearing you again next Tuesday. Thanks again, Prashant.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for joining us for another great episode of Insider Secrets. As always, Insider Secrets is brought to you by My Core Intentions. Join us on social media and visit mycoreintentions.com, where you can get expert coaching on all things multifamily investing and property management. We're looking forward to having you back again next week for more Insider Secrets.